Yes. Hello, Heringer family. We're back again. We're super excited to be with you guys today. We're humbled and excited to have the opportunity to taste through some great wines. I'm here with Courtney, our tasting room manager. I'm Mike, and we are having an exciting, amplifying tasting panel today. So,
Not live.
I'm going to keep smiling.
You are live.
And so we are super excited about it. We're featuring Petite in 3 ways. So 3 ways. Courtney, what do we have here for our enjoyment?
Well, we start off with the 2003 Petite Sirah, which I'm really, really excited about. And then we move into our current vintage, which is the 15 Petite Sirah. Then we have a late harvest Petite Sirah, which is one of my favorite dessert wines.
Yes.
So, yeah, this is, I don't, there's just something magical about it.
Yes, there is definitely something magical about it. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute when we get through the first 2. We're going to start, actually I think I want to start with our current release Petite Sirah and then move into our vintage Petite Sirah, which is a real special wine. So we can, if you want to pop that cork and we can get going. I hope everybody's having a wonderful week amongst all the craziness. We're just happy to be here with you, and we're happy you're here with us. And we are going to get started. If you don't have a glass, now's your time. Open up your favorite Heringer wine and pour yourself a glass. Could be a big glass like this or a regular glass like this.
This is my glass. This is Mike's glass.
We are, yes. I got 2 big glasses. Okay? So I brought some big glasses because we're going to taste some big wines.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have a glass that would hold up to the wine.
So this one goes in the little one.
No, this goes in the big glass.
Big glass.
We're going big wine, big glass.
I don't know how to pour that.
Oh, you can do a little more than that.
What?
Yes, there you go. That's fine.
No, I need more.
Now she needs more. So look, you have a big glass like this, and then you pour yourself a regular glass, it doesn't even look like you have anything.
It
so
doesn't.
It's a perfect glass for...
That's fun. Like so much swirling happening.
So the swirl, let's talk a little bit about the swirl,
Okay.
because this is almost an art. It's taken me almost 20 years to perfect this. And a big glass, you want to get a big glass like this if you're just starting. And this, you always see it's just a very nice fluid motion. You get a big glass and you're not, you're less likely to splash it all over yourself. If you do a small glass and you get too excited, then it goes on your shirt.
Overswirl.
And if the overswirl. And if you're at a party and you got a white shirt on, it's not going to work. So this, when you first start, you can just kind of get used to the motion right here. You kind of start with the glass right there, just the wine still, grab it at the base, and just start swirling like this. And then you can start with kind of bigger swirls, and then once you get better, you can just do little swirls, just like this, and that gets the wine opened up with a big heavy red. You definitely want to perfect your swirl, and you don't want to have, what'd you call it?
Oh, now I don't remember.
A swirl spectacle, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
And then, so when you get it down and you get kind of the rhythm down on the table, then you can kind of pick the glass up, and let me bring this a little closer so you can see the motion. Got it? Am I in the thing? So you just like this. And when you get really good, you can kind of tilt your glass like this, but then you get a little more swirl to the top, and then you have a swirl stain.
Yes.
Right? We're going crazy with the swirls. So super fun. Definitely takes a little bit of practice to get used to. But we're celebrating this Petite Sirah. This is the biggest, most beautiful red wine, one of the biggest, most beautiful red wines we make here in Clarksburg. Just oozes character.
So
it's like the old wise man in the group.
The old wise man.
And you get a big glass like this, and you can really just almost put your whole face in here, just like this. Don't be afraid. You won't look. You'll look good when you do it.
Depends on the size of your nose.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
big, beautiful berries, rich, dark, exuberant color, almost like a inky, dark, inky black color. Just really beautiful, and I just love swirling it in the glass. With big glasses, you can lay it down. Once you get just a little bit, and I'll show you in a minute, you get a little bit, you can lay it down and swirl it on the table, and you can show yourself, show kind of your skills off.
That's right. We're showing you all kinds of stuff.
Can you tell us what the legs mean?
Legs.
So the legs.
Michael, talk, and I'll show you the legs.
Yeah. So this wine, bigger, heavier reds are more viscous. They have more character and color and tannin, and they're going to have more legs. So it has to do with the balance of viscosity of tannin and the character of the wine. And the slower the legs run, the more concentrated. Usually, the more concentrated the wine is. Also has to do with the alcohol content as well.
Now I have Facebook Live up on my on here, so if you guys have anything you want to say, that's what I can see currently. So happy to have you. Nice to see you, Monica. Thanks for dropping in.
Yes. Hope you got a wonderful glass of Heringer wine. We're enjoying ours and our big gulps. So I love big glasses. They're just something powerful. It makes you feel good about yourself when you got a big glass like this.
My small glasses are for my guests. I actually have quite large glasses for myself.
You are cruel. You don't have it in front of them. You don't.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, everyone can share my big glasses.
There you go.
This is not big enough for
Yes.
a house glass of wine. This is much better.
So this wine has been aged for a little over 2.5 years in barrel. So you really, with a big glass like this, you get a lot of those leather and components that are really complex in the aroma that really complement from the barrel, that complement the berry, all the bright, dark berries that go with this wine. If I think we talked about if Chenin Blanc is the queen of Clarksburg, certainly Petite Sirah is the king.
Yes.
I always say we've got Cabernet. Everybody knows what Cabernet is. And my dad came up with a slogan quite a few years ago that Petite Sirah is Clarksburg's cab. So it's just an association. They have a lot of the same characteristics.
Right.
Petite Sirah is going to be a little bigger, a little more colorful, darker color, possibly bigger tannins, maybe a little more dark fruits, whereas Cabernet might have more of that olive Mediterranean character. But they share a lot of the same characteristics. And Petite Sirah in our area is probably one of the first varieties, along with Chenin Blanc and Chardonnay and some of our other staples that are grown here. It was one of our earliest planted varieties in the region. So back in the late 60s and early 70s, when the region started planting wine grapes, Petite Sirah was one of the featured wines and featured varieties in those plantings, and it's taken off since then. And Petite Sirah has gained so much.
Yes. People love it, right?
Yeah.
It's just people. Petite Sirah is a grape that people know and love now.
People know and love it. Back then, people didn't know it. It was used as a blending variety to really add complexity and color.
That's
And
sad.
to
You
a
couldn't
lot of-
celebrate it on its own.
To a lot, and there was very few wineries that actually celebrated it as a varietal wine. So we're excited to be one of those wineries that still celebrate this variety. And you're finished with your glass, so I'll keep going. But
You were talking, I was drinking.
if you guys are just tuning in, we have got a really spectacular flight of Petite Sirah in 3 ways. We've got our current vintage, big, bold, beautiful Petite Sirah. We have got our 17-year-old Petite Sirah that we're going to enjoy here in a minute. And we've also got our late harvest Petite Sirah, which is a beautiful dessert wine. We'll talk a little bit more about this as a Rose Series wine. We'll talk about that with a special guest that's going to be joining us here in a minute.
Special. I love special guests.
Yes.
Monica wants to know what she would pair a Petite Sirah with for dinner.
Oh man, yes.
I mean, I know people go always like big wine, big steak, but it's true. Petite Sirah is great with a nice ribeye. It's super good. But
Yes.
there's other ways to do it. It doesn't always have to be a big old steak, you guys.
Steak, a shepherd pie
Yes.
would be absolutely unbelievable. You could even do in cheeses, you could do like a blue cheese. It was surprising,
Yes.
but that really works well, a really high-end blue cheese. You could also do any kind of pasta with a beautiful cream sauce, kind of a heavy cream sauce or a spaghetti sauce, either meat or vegetarian. This wine will pair with all of that. It's Petite Sirah can be pretty big, so it can be a little bit overwhelming, but this wine is right, just perfectly balanced. My sister Stacy, she loves our Moscato, and she says this now is her new favorite red wine.
Get out!
Yes.
Go Stacey.
So that's for somebody to
jump from a Scottish
jump.
to Petite Sirah.
yeah.
That's great.
So she's graduated and
That's true.
still loves the Moscato, and but is
It's our summer wine, you guys.
yes. But so Clarksburg, probably back in the day, had about 40 to 50% of all of California's Petite Sirah acreage was grown right here in Clarksburg.
It's crazy.
And that's why it's got such a renowned name for doing so well in the region. It grows really well here with our warm days and cool nights, and just become a staple in our region. So I'm gonna stop talking and start drinking.
That's okay. I can talk. So I've had a great week, just so you guys know. I was able to get my hair done. I know you noticed something different about me.
And when you walked in, what did I say?
You said your hair looks really nice. Yeah.
See?
But it's so fun to be able to, I mean, I did have to wear a mask, and it was, you know, you always wear the disposable ones when you get your hair done if you are a hair dyer, as I am.
Yeah.
So you can throw it away. But it was so nice to be able to sit down and talk to my hairdresser, Bobby, and then come out and just feel, you know, more like myself.
Yes.
Which is really
like
nice.
Been reborn.
Well, yeah, because I have a lot of gray now, you guys. So hiding that back again was really great for me. I considered continuing the trend, and then I said I don't like it so much. So I was really happy. How was your week?
It was good. It was good. It's been quite hectic around here, just trying to get everything ready for and get into, you know, the service, the table service that you've done a super successful job. If you haven't been out, you need to come. Social distancing. We're having a lot of great time out here. You can do reservations online. Are all set up, so go find your.
I was almost late because I was helping guests.
Yeah.
So it's been really nice to have guests back out again, and they're really enjoying spending the time outside.
Yeah.
And we are, I mean, we're 9 feet difference between tables, so we're taking our social distancing, you know, really seriously. And the staff is all wearing their masks, and so, you know, we want you to feel safe when you come out. So when you come out, we got your back.
Yeah.
And we're having a really good time and happy to have you all back.
Yep. So we're gonna jump into this Petite Sirah. I just want to show you this because we did this special. This is a little 375 of our 2003 Petite Sirah, and this is the original script of our logo. And so we're really excited to share this with you. This is our second vintage of Petite Sirah that we ever made. So this wine's about 17 years old, and we're going to be excited to share it with you here.
It's on site, so if this is something you guys are interested in, we do have some wine here for you.
And Courtney said, well, these glasses will hold a full bottle.
It will hold a full bottle.
And I was looking for a decanter earlier,
Oh, I wish you told me.
and I
I'd
just
like
said,
two.
you know what, these glasses are big enough. I
They're
think
on
we could
decanter.
decant it into this glass. So
Yeah.
we're going to do a little fun experiment, and we're going to see if
Okay.
Courtney was right. So these glasses are made to have a shoulder on them. This wine has been aged for so long, it's probably got a little bit of sediment from just the natural aging process. So what you want to do, you just want to slowly pour this guy into here, not shaking it up at all, and decanting also opens the wine up. You know, it's not so fun when I'm so far away. So I'm going to bring this here a
Bring it
little
close, you
closer
guys.
to make sure you get the full experience of this decanting process here. And you just pour it so slowly and slightly, especially when you get to the bottom. Because at the bottom, see the wine, I don't know if you all can see through this dark glass, but you want to pour it, especially when you get to the bottom, so that the sediment stays at the bottom of the glass and also sticks to the shoulder. And you can leave the last little drop in the bottle that has all the little wine diamonds. We call that the angel's share. Okay? So, look, it did. It's a half glass of wine.
Half a glass of wine.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So,
at my house. If anybody wants to share a glass, you can.
I'm going to decant this into this. So also decanting really helps open the wine up, especially with a big, beautiful aged wine like this. You can even decant a big Petite Sirah an hour before you want to serve it.
Right.
With a special wine like this, it needs special care, and it's super fun
Oh, you're
to
a little
do
baby
that.
glass.
I know. I feel, not as great now. So, but I'm glad you still feel good.
I still feel really good about my glass.
Oh my gosh, yes. This is a beautiful wine.
And it's like there's no, sometimes you get that kick in the back of a glass of wine. There's no kick to this. It's
Yes.
super smooth, easy to drink, and just really just flavorful. Nose, mouth, and it's just a really nice wine.
So we're 3 years away from our 20th anniversary on this wine, and for this wine being in the bottle, and it is performing exceptional. It tastes,
It's really good.
smells amazing. I can't stop smelling it.
All day.
So soft, so elegant. The tannins really soften as the wine ages. You get more, let's see if I can pour this, a little bit of this into here. But you get more of this darker hue.
Yeah, more like a cranberry color, right?
Yes, a little bit more of a darker hue. If I had white paper and we could move the camera, then
I can
I'll
work
be
this
able to
out.
show you. But so we'll just put this in. You see this? Put it up here like that, if you guys can see. But see, this one's a little bit darker. This one's got more of that amber orange on the sides of the glass. It's probably pretty hard to see on camera, but just this one's a little richer in color because it's younger and it doesn't have as much age on it. So, thank you. So,
Is it time to bring in the guests?
I think it is. We've got our special guest, and we've got a special glass of wine for him.
You get the half
The
bottle.
guest is looking a little thirsty. my mouth's watering just watching you
I know. I
guys.
saw you. You were like a
Wait, you
puppy
guys
dog
did
looking
it
for a
right.
treat over there. So here you
My
go.
glass, right?
Yes, this is your glass for a special guy. So everybody, this is Steve. This is my brother and viticulture vineyard manager extraordinaire. He is in charge
You're
of.
still on. You gotta scooch with me.
Yeah, he is in charge
Yeah.
of shepherding these grapes from the time we prune to the time we harvest. He's got an extraordinary amount of skill to perform all these tasks on an annual basis. We've got over 24 varieties on the ranch, and yeah, he's in charge of shepherding every one of them so we can get this beautiful wine in the glass for
That is
you.
delicious.
So, welcome.
Really?
That is delicious. Cheers.
Cheers.
Salud. Ooh, that even sounds good.
I know, right?
All right?
I
Okay, we're not playing bells here, guys. So,
I just found out your mom plays the bells at church.
She does.
I think that is so cool. So I played the bells in elementary school. But I've always think bells are, they're just,
I think I was forced to play the bells. No one.
yes.
well, there you go. Different experience.
So yes.
So Steve, while you're here, just give us
Yeah.
a quick update of where we're at in all the viticulture, all the vineyard action. Where are we at in the season? Give us a little synopsis.
Yeah, the vines are growing fantastically. We've had some really phenomenal weather. We had a really early spring, so things got out of the gate really, really quick. We're probably about 2 weeks ahead of a normal year schedule, which is kind of varying all the time now. It seems to have been a little bit more uncertain the last couple of years, but we're just finishing up. We've come out of bloom, and basically we're in our berry sizing period now, so the clusters are really starting to form. You can really start seeing the crop for 2020. The 2020 vintage is in good development now, and you're really kind of getting a good sense of what deliciousness is developing out there in the vineyards.
Yeah.
So yeah, canopies are finishing kind of where the final stages of what we want for their growth to maintain a balanced vine. So we're really starting to taper our water off at this point on the blocks that we water to really start the deficit irrigation program that we get into, and we push the vines really, really hard from here to veraison, which veraison is when the grapes get color on the red grapes, and then the white grapes start to soften and develop sugars. So
Good. Yeah, I think with Petite Sirah, I was just kind of reflecting on what are the most important aspects of the vineyard that go into Petite Sirah. And we were talking the other day about the canopy and the crop load and the space that each cluster has. Petite Sirah is a little bit prone to like rot, right, at the end of the season. So if you take care with all those things, then you can kind of get it right.
yeah, it's very each of the varieties, all 26 is like an individual child. So they all have their own individual characteristics and components. And as a parent, shepherding the vine along through the year, trying to get the most maturity and development out of that vine, you have to treat each of them a little bit differently.
Yes.
And Petite Sirah is one that likes to be overly fruitful. So it's the child that likes to go out and throw the really big party and have a really good time, and and just throws a ton of crop out. So one of the things we really have to mitigate on the Petite Sirah is crop load. So we do end up we drop probably I would say around 50% of the grapes, and this is after extensive pruning, a pretty hard pruning, extensive shoot thinning. We still have to go in order to obtain the quality of wine grape that allows us to achieve this 17 years later. We throw about 50% of the crop on the ground. We're probably about 2 to 3 weeks away from getting into that on the Petite Sirah, but one of the vineyard updates you'll see, and it's like a carpet of green under the vine when we do that in Petite Sirah.
Speaking of being treated a little differently, do you think we could get another little swig?
I don't know, this is pretty good. I'm feeling pretty protective of this at the moment. Is that socially distancing compliant?
That
for me
glass
sharing with
is
you?
there's a half a bottle of wine in there, but I think you could share maybe a little swig.
I guess there is alcohol in it to sterilize any germs that I may have passed along.
Oh, right.
That's Courtney's glass.
We're all family around here.
Gotta take care of my taster manager.
Yeah! Look at that. I even have to pour it myself.
Yes. The one thing I will never forget about Petite Sirah is that in regards to that crop thinning, we were sitting at Grandma and Grandpa's in their house. We used to have breakfast there. On quite a few mornings, we're sitting there and we've got our master thinning crew out in the vineyard, and they're dropping, probably 50% of this fruit on the ground. And my grandfather's there and watching this, and he's
shaking his head like this, staring out the window.
A lifelong agriculturalist, diversified agriculture, and that wasn't a part of a commodity crop, right? You grew it and you sold it, and it was good. And you
grew as much of it as you could,
because
that's what you were getting paid for.
Right.
Yes, that was you held your hat on the fruitfulness of the land.
Yeah.
Right. For him to look out his kitchen window and see us dropping half of the fruit on the ground, he just couldn't believe it. He thought we were crazy, and that's just I'll never forget that. But that's something we do to assure that we get the highest quality crop into this bottle. And
he commented as such. You all are crazy.
He did. I think he said it once on film, actually, when we were taping a segment. He did. He said, we asked him what he thought of all this, and he said, I think you guys are nuts. I think is what he said.
That's fabulous.
Yes.
Wish I never
Man. Beautiful wine. So now that we've gotten our fill, we're going to grab a couple of additional smaller glasses for our dessert wine, which is our Rose Series Petite Sirah. And I know everybody says, well, what makes a Rose Series wine? So it starts in the vineyard, and I'm going to let Steve kind of talk through some of the very specific things that we do to shepherd a Rose Series wine into a Rose Series grape into the winery and then into the bottle. And you can talk about Grenache, Petite Sirah. We've really done some really cool stuff out in the vineyard.
We have, so I'm going to talk not so much varietally, but a little bit more generally. So this is Rose Series. This is a late harvest Petite Sirah. So this is a Petite Sirah with some residual sugar. It's a dessert wine. One of the things that Michael talked a little bit about, what's the difference between late harvest and a port. So a port has additional alcohol added. But this was basically off row 27 from right out here in front of the, tasting room. So what is Rose Series? So Rose Series, at the beginning of the year, Mike and I kind of talk and we identify varieties as we're out driving. We go out and we tour every vineyard that we own and that we grow grapes on a weekly basis, and basically talk through the viticulture, talk through the transitions that the vines are going through. That all happens in a pretty compressed window in the spring. There's a lot of changes happening really fast. So it takes a weekly review for us to stay on top of all these things. But with the Rose Series, let's start with the soil. So with the ground, every vineyard, even though it may be in one variety, is composed, the soil components are composed of different things. There's different swaths of different types of soil. Some are sandier, some are more clay. There's different, stress points for irrigation where the soil retains a little bit more moisture, some areas where it doesn't. So as a viticulturalist, you're looking for kind of that sweet spot where the soil drains, puts enough stress on the vine that it really inhibits the green vigor growth, but it still retains enough moisture to ripen the fruit substantially and provide all the different tannin and anthocyanin components that provide just a phenomenal wine grape. So it really starts with knowing the block that you're picking the fruit from. So that's where we've identified, we know those rows generally where the soil has those attributes, and it's that balanced line between that each of the blocks has. So first it starts with the soil, then as we're coming up, so the irrigation. So obviously we deficit irrigate. On those rows that we've identified, we'll put an inline emitter. So the way the irrigation system works, we turn on a pump that runs off either the river or the slough on all of our properties. We have riparian water rights. And so the water comes in, the whole block gets watered generally, and then for those individual rows, we can turn on and off water either to a portion of the row or to the whole row, depending on what we're seeing when we're doing that weekly review and how the shoots are looking. So all of that is determined based on doing what's called a pressure bomb, so determining the water stress on the vine, and then a lot of it's also by visual inspection, looking at the internode spacings, looking at the active growing tip, and seeing how the plant is reacting, what kind of water stress it's under. So again, we want to dial that in, and for those rows that we identify for Rose Series, we pay extra attention to those, we dial those in so we get just the right amount of canopy to ripen the fruit. As we're continuing to move up onto the cordon, the pruning on all the rows for all the varieties is the same. But one of the things that we'll do a little bit differently on the Rose Series wines is we will do more extensive leaf pulling. So we do a lot of mechanical leaf pulling where we have two different types of machines that go through and pull leaves. And then we'll follow up in the row ones with an extensive hand pull also that's really targeted at the zones depending on the variety of fruit. Some varieties are more susceptible to sunburn and they actually like to be a little bit shaded. Nebbiolo, Cab Franc, Barbera, a couple of those examples, and then other varieties really like a lot of sun, and you want to get as much sun exposure as you can. So that's the leaf pulling portion, and then with fruit thinning, again, finding that balance on the vine. The Rose Series wines have additional fruit thinning. There's additional fruit put on the ground so that the resources that are in the vine that we're already taxing pretty hard with deficit irrigation go into the remaining clusters that we have. And the timing on that is also very, very important and really key component to the development of our vines. And then for harvest, 5 years ago, we hand harvested all the Rose Series wines. Again, in our experience, sometimes, depending on the variety, the fruit quality is actually higher with our machine harvest due to the sorting and the capacity. On the Rose Series wines, we also make, regardless of how we're harvesting, we make a pre-harvest pass where we go through that row and we drop any non-conforming or non-standard fruit. So this is fruit that may be either a little bit behind the ripening curve of the rest of the fruit, or it may have gotten a little bit sunburned due to the exposure that we're trying to provide. So we drop those things off. So how is that for a mouthful?
Man, I need another glass of wine.
I need a couple more glasses.
Actually, so what I tell people in the taste room is that it's the baby grape.
Yes.
Like it's just the
So,
baby
yeah.
grape. It's
So,
the baby of the family.
The thing you can remember, so for our normal varieties, probably every cluster is touched at least once and maybe twice for any of our normal variety lines. For a Rose Series wine, that cluster is probably hand-handled a minimum of 4 to 5 times going through the growing season.
Yes. That was a great summary.
Good job. On fire?
So
I just make it simple, you guys.
our Rose Series is like the baby child. I'm the baby child, and am I babied a little?
No.
No, see? Don't answer that. I didn't answer that.
No.
But yeah, it crosses every touch point of the growing season. Soils, canopy, fruit load, water, everything is just taken to another level, all the way to harvest. And then we get the wines in the winery, and just again, it's taken small lot fermentations. Normally, we're fermenting in bigger stainless steel tanks. These are such small lots that we can ferment in little macro bins, and we do more gentle destemming, which is taking the fruit. Everything is just handled with utmost care.
Kid gloves.
Yeah, we put the kid gloves on and we sort out of the machine, as we hand pick, and then we sort again when it gets to the winery. So you've just got a real perfect glass of wine. This wine, and then this is also our Rose Series in general, is put into new oak barrels. So that provides just a whole nother layer of complexity and what's another word for it?
Liquid chocolate is what that word is for.
So let's get into this wine. I know you guys probably may not are enjoying a dessert wine right now, but if you aren't, this is a beautiful wine. This is something you do not see every day. It's so unique. You know, we do a great Petite Sirah dessert wine as a port, and then we had this opportunity to focus in. And we've always done a really amazing white dessert wine,
Yes.
Late harvest from our white varieties, but we really had this super unique opportunity, and this was back in 2014, where we identified this row of Petite Sirah and let these grapes hang, and they developed a beautiful concentration on the vine. These were harvested probably in like late November, even in early December, right? My wife's always bugging me about finishing harvest. And here I am at Thanksgiving, and we have never gone all the way to Christmas, but not yet. I'm sure it'll happen. But this was one of those wines, and again, just you patiently waiting for the vine and the grapes to ripen to an extent to where it makes this wine so special. We harvested it, probably pressed out at about almost double what where we'd normally harvest Petite Sirah, and it just provides an unbelievable experience.
I know when I was a member, the 14 Petite Sirah was one of my favorite wines anyway, and then you make it into a late harvest, and I'm like, that is so good. And you know, you guys know, you always remember the year that's your favorite. Everybody knows their favorite year. So
Yes.
that 14 Petite Sirah is one of my favorites, and just making it into this is spectacular.
And the late harvest develops the traditional late harvest. You have ice wine, and then you have botrytized late harvest. So Ice wine is in really cold climates, right? Canada and,
Oh, okay.
and New York and Germany. They can freeze the grapes on the vine and press off the juice, and it freezes the sugar, freezes the water. Leaves the sugar. You press off these super concentrated wines. Here in California, we obviously don't have the climate to do that, but we have a beautiful noble rot. That it doesn't sound great, but it's really unbelievable. That's why it's noble, right?
It's
you put that noble in front of it.
It's like a noble
it elevates
tree.
it,
You're
right?
gonna pay $20 extra for that.
That's right.
So
Nobility.
yes, it's got nobility, but it infects these grapes and it concentrates. It kind of dehydrates them on its own. That's one of its characteristics. So it super concentrates the grapes on the vine, but you have to be super patient and you have to select the clusters that have this specific infection. If you have other infections, they're ones you don't want. This one you do want, and you have to identify it and harvest just those clusters that have this specific attribute. And we did that here, and it just was unbelievable. Like, this wine is off
Really
the
is.
charts. It was so concentrated that when we went to it was too sweet to actually bottle it as on its own, and we had to cut it with a little bit of Petite Sirah. So you know you distill brandy or whatever, and it be this super high alcohol. It's just so concentrated, and this was like this wine, but only with sugar and flavor. And the sugar is just so much that we cut it with a little bit of dry Petites of this actual 16 Petite Sirah, and just made this unbelievable late harvest wine.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I remember about this harvest. So after you've already cut 50% of the fruit onto the floor during fruit thinning, then we're out there at harvest, and Mike's like, nope, yeah, that cluster. So we dropped another probably 3/4 on the ground and put a quarter into the winery.
Yes.
And that hurt my heart a little bit, I'm going to be honest. But after tasting this, Courtney, describe this wine to me. What do you get?
Don't know, now I'm drinking.
It's almost a lush licorice and really complex.
And
Dark
there's some,
berry.
I was gonna say maybe a little bit of cranberry at the.
Almost like a carameled berry
Yes.
pie or something. I mean, just really unbelievable.
And it tastes like liquid chocolate. Like I really like high-end chocolates. Like I'm a little bit of a chocolate connoisseur. And this is like, I may have chocolate tea. Like I take the.
Do you really?
Yeah, that's a
cocoa
whole
shells.
other level.
It is a whole other level. And it's like drinking liquid chocolate. It's so
It is.
good.
And what's so nice that the flavor is very evenly distributed.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't settle into one spot, which is really nice.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
All right.
Wow. Well,
that's the way to finish a show.
that
was
is
so
the
good.
finisher right there. Absolutely the finisher. That is just a beautiful. And even if you don't like sweet wines, you will
I don't like sweet wines.
love
That
this
is
and
awesome.
appreciate this. It's a whole nother level of sweet wine. This really takes it to a whole nother level. And with Petite Sirah, you were talking about harvest and the critical timing, and every time Petite Sirah, that's another very specific attribute of if you harvest the grape at a wrong, you spend all this time and effort shepherding these grapes for the 9 months, and you get to this tipping point, this catalyst of harvest, and if you aren't patient, right, you can really.
And it's hard to be patient. Like it's November's on us. It's late.
Yeah.
It's been 3 months of harvest already. You're tired. You're worn out by that point. And it's like, come on, Mike, pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Pull the trigger. My wife wants to see me again.
I miss my family. So mid-June we're at right now. When do we usually start harvesting?
So a normal year for us is late, like right around September. Like the beginning of September, we'll start with some of our early whites. Pinot Gris is generally one of the first whites off the board. And then for us, Chardonnay in our vineyard is really, really late. So it's probably one of the latest Chardonnays in the entire district. It just loves to hang out there on the vine and just accumulate all these phenomenal flavors so Chardonnay, and then or Pinot Gris, then we'll like some Sauv Blanc, some Chenin Blanc. About that same time, Pinot Noir will start coming online. Then generally after Pinot Noir, there'll be Chardonnay, and then all will start rolling in. So really we'll start a slow ramp up right around the 1st of September.
Okay.
And then things will really kind of get, crunch time is really like 2 weeks in October. So the first 2 weeks in October are kind of crunch time, where things are really starting to like a lot of different things are ready to go. And then we'll slowly have a slow wind down at the end of October into the first week of November and sometime into the Thanksgiving week of November.
Yes.
Perfect.
So almost 4 months out of the year, we're harvesting grapes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So,
All
yeah.
right.
We loved having you here. We hope you enjoyed this Petite in 3 ways. We love for you to come and visit us and share in this experience at the tasting room. Courtney and the team at the tasting room have put together a really great experience with table service and sit-down opportunities to keep everyone safe. And we've got plenty of patio space. And you can also purchase these online. So we'd love for you to do that and enjoy some of the beauty that God and we have created and shepherded to this process. So we thank you for your support and
Appreciate the support. If you like the video, please share it with your friends so others get to know and learn.
we've got a fantastic lineup for you next week as well.
I'm excited for next week.
Yes.
Is Rosé next week?
Bye.
Bye, guys! And dance it up.
Oh, my glass is empty.
Turn it.
What?
How's that happen?
I know you had the biggest glass.
Oh, not
No, it's
anymore.
over there.
You took it all, according to
There
you.
you go.
I did. I have a lot of this one.